4, 3, 2, 1.
Whether you've been married 1 or 20 plus years, at some point you realize you married into crazy. And that's what our show is all about. If your marriage or relationship is compassionate, real, accountable, zealous and yielding, or just plain crazy, Snooks and Lovey offer love, laughter, and a dose of reality as they unpack this thing called marriage. Sit back, relax, and get your ear hustle on. It's time to start the conversation.
Welcome back to another episode of the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey.
I'm Snooks.
I'm Lovey. And as always, you guys are probably tired of hearing this, but we are truly grateful for you spending time with us. You could be doing a million different things, but you've chosen to actually either watch us on YouTube or listen to us wherever you're downloading your podcast. And we truly are grateful because we love lifting up the covenant of marriage and having conversations about all things marriage. Before we get started, if we could, let's remind you to go to marriedintocrazy.com and look at all the different ways that we pour into marriages. There's so many different things that we do. I'm not going to detail them here. We would really appreciate it if you would go take a look. And while you're doing that, feel free to also subscribe and like and comment wherever you're listening or watching us. So it's been a while since we've been here.
I feel like it's been a long time.
Well, because we've gone to a new format. So in the new year, as you all know, we're taking care of our grandson and doing a lot of different things, and he's commanding a lot more time. So we don't have that time discretion that we used to have. And there are a lot of couples, hey, as you shift, as your seasons change, you're going to have to make some adjustments. And we always talk about that, and we've done the same. So rather than coming to you with episodes every single week, we are now on a bi-weekly. But we're 300 episodes plus in. So if you miss us, go into the archive and look at one of the other 330 whatever podcasts that are actually out there. So there's a lot for you to choose from. So hopefully we inspire you to go back, take a look, to see what might be of interest to you. Mm-hmm. So you'll never go without us. So if you miss us, it's cute, but there's a lot in the archive. Go ahead and make sure you use that.
Or hit us up on Facebook just to say, hey, girl. Hey, girl to me. You can say hi to Lovey.
You can say, hey, girl. I'm just not going to listen. But look, hey, here's what we want to do. We're going to get into the conversation because, as you know, what we love to do more than anything else is interview couples to bring in their perspective, different things that they've done, challenges they've gone through and how they've overcome it so they can pour into you. But also, we love to bring you subject matter experts on a variety of different aspects that affect marriage. Mm-hmm. And just recently, I don't know if you follow the news very much. She loves football, but I know that she follows the news. There was a combination of news and football.
I mean, if it's football related, I know about it. So.
Okay, so what you going to tell me about Dak Prescott?
That he called off his, I'm going to just say he did. They called off their wedding. So I guess presumably, good word. Okay. It's because she declined or she did not sign the prenup. I know they have 2 children together. So I don't know if that was the thing. If that was it.
Well, that's what perked my ears up. And there's still some speculation out there as to whether or not that's the real reason.
What perked your ears up? The prenup? Does she decide because she didn't sign the prenup, or he called it off because she didn't sign it?
Well, just the fact that it was in the news and that this was a topic. And then it's funny. So in the last couple of days,
he's rich. He's famous. He's Dallas Cowboy.
Well, and he's alive. But there's something else going on too, like JFK Jr. His plane crashed like years ago. And I guess there's some kind of show that's out there, and it's reviewing JFK Jr. and I think it's
Carolyn Bessette.
Carolyn Bessette, and talking about their prenup. And so it seems like this whole topic of prenup comes up, and I thought we have never really gotten into or discussed the rationale behind prenups.
Well, we obviously didn't get one. He was broke when we got married, so.
Well, she don't know won't hurt her.
Okay. I got spies.
I got her hand when she was asleep and just kind of ran it over. It's the one time she signed an X on the line. No. So we really don't know. So this is one of those situations where, you know what? We had to reach out through all of our networks and said, who do we know that is either a family law lawyer or a divorce lawyer that can come on and share his or her expertise?
So before we do that, though, I want to know, what is your personal take on prenups? I just want to know before we have our guests on, if maybe, I don't know, if your mind would change depending on what is said. How do you feel?
Well, I need to ask her first. Can I take a pause and ask her if she would actually represent me, depending upon my
It doesn't
answers?
matter. It's California.
Can I
I'm
plead the
getting
fifth?
everything. I'm getting everything anyway. You get 3/4. You get 2/3. Maybe you get a third. Just saying.
I thought the 14th Amendment said I'm a whole man. I can get whatever.
You
I
are
get
a
it
whole
all.
man. Outside of this marriage,
I think it's situational. I will say it's
Okay.
it's situational.
I feel you.
That's how I feel. So look, she's been waiting in the green room, just waiting on us.
Sorry.
And I want to say, look, we have an amazing guest. She hails from Gilkes Law Firm as well as Illegal Cafe, and guess what? She's an author as well. So we're going to ask her about all of the legal stuff, but also to give us a little background on authors and espresso, because I'm curious about that. So, without further ado, if you would please welcome Miss Nadia Gilkes.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm trying to figure out where my applause is at.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, Nadia, thank you for taking time to actually join us on the Married into Crazy podcast. And as you heard, you're a bit of a unicorn for us because we have never discussed prenups.
I love that. And I'm probably an extra unicorn because I am a diehard Buffalo Bills fan. Do not like the Cowboys at all. But I will suffer through this conversation about Dak if that's where you go tonight.
And what'd you say?
Put her on the screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sitting there smiling, and look, she's like, "Put her on the screen. Put her on the screen."
He got happy when you said you don't like the Cowboys. We don't like the Cowboys either. So
Okay, all right.
Look, we're a Steelers family, so I don't know if I like you yet.
But no, I
Very
like the
respectable team.
Bills.
No, I like the Steelers. Great team. Mike Tomlin gave a lot for a lot of years.
Yes, he did.
Can't say
Absolutely.
anything bad about the Steelers.
And I like the Bills. Whenever they play, I like to watch them. So
I have to
Josh
admit,
Allen is one of my guys.
I am a fan of Josh Allen when he's not playing us. And you know what? Props to his wife, coming through on Sinners,
Yeah.
getting a little something, winning some awards, as a group.
Queen
So
Buffalo.
Right, Queen Buffalo. I like that.
I love that. Okay. So, let's get into it. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where do you hail from? Tell us about your law firm and your particular specialty.
Thank you. Well, I'm from Rochester, New York. Buffalo Bills is a very regional team. So you're normally from that region if you're rooting for them. So born and raised in Rochester, New York on Super Bowl Sunday, actually. I won't tell you which one. And I actually went to law school in Texas. So I am licensed to practice in Texas and I live in Nevada now. So also have a special license to practice here. I've been practicing since 2009. I've done family law since that time. And it's kind of sad to say, but I love drama. So family law fits the bill. So that is what I do: divorces, custody, child support. And right now I do exclusively guardianships.
Oh, okay. Well, see, if we were in Nevada, we might have used you because we actually have guardianship of our grandson.
Okay.
And so we've gone through that process. Just the one time, it was enough. And we're actually in the process of going through the adoption now.
Oh, nice. That's beautiful.
So you've been doing this for a minute.
For a minute.
So I'm curious.
Okay,
Go
let's
ahead.
get down to the nitty gritty. Tell me how you feel about the prenups.
I love prenups. This is one of my favorite conversations. I feel like it's a great tool that is not used enough. Um, a lot of people equate it to rich people. Oh, that's a rich people thing. And yes, rich people use it because they're wise. But quite honestly, most people getting married should use it. Case in point, we talk about all of these divorces, Troy Aikman and Eddie Murphy and all these people. And oh, if they lose half of what they have, they're going to be okay. Eddie Murphy can make a movie and have his money back in the next year. But if you're an average couple that are just making ends meet, maybe you have a six-figure salary and you lose half of what you have, you're probably not making it back within a year. So prenups are a great protection for the average couple. Maybe you have a blended family or somebody has a business and you really have something that you need to protect. And I just don't see it used often enough.
Would you say, I guess my hesitation has always been, Is it an act of love, or is it a lack of trust that drives that movement towards prenup?
Um, I would say that it is an act of love because you're doing it when you are presumably deeply in love. Divorces get very messy, and we see some of the kindest, sweetest, nicest people turn evil when emotions are on the line, when they may lose their children or they're about to lose their home or somebody's been cheated on. People are not thinking rationally through emotions. So if you handle this on the front end when things are going good and the relationship is stable, you are just coming to the table and fairly looking at everything you have and how things will be divided if you happen to break up. And it's just kind of like insurance. You don't want to have a car accident, but if you have one and you have insurance, you're protected. So it's kind of that same idea. You're not necessarily planning for a divorce, but if it happens, the terms are already hashed out and they were done at a time when you were in love and being fair. And then you have one less thing to worry about on the back end.
So when you, from your experience, has there ever been a time where the couples come in and whoever's to sign the prenup, or it's say he wanted it and she didn't or I didn't, have you experienced where there's like a breakdown and meltdown, or a whole I'm not doing this because you don't love me, is, you know, or is it by the time they get to you everything is kind of calm?
I would say that things are relatively calm. It's something that they have talked about at home at the kitchen table, like most of us talk about important things down at the kitchen table or in the living room. And then there are, I would say, guardrails that you put in place. So I always recommend that people are very fair with each other. I insist on both parties having their own attorney, and I insist on it being handled far before the wedding day. I don't do anything 30, 60 days before the wedding because now I feel, and that's just my personal feeling, I feel like now you're getting into duress territory. So when people come to me and my integrity and my philosophy, I'm always walking them through it. I'm big on everybody being open. That's what makes a prenup stick, quite honestly. And then we're just walking through what they have, any special terms that they want, any concerns that are currently in the marriage, and both parties are working with their own attorney, and we're all coming to the table to have just open and honest discussions.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I never really thought about that. I just assumed that when you saw an attorney, I guess it wouldn't be a divorce attorney, it would be a family law like yourself. But I thought it would be both parties coming to you to represent and oversee it. But I didn't realize it would be two separate attorneys coming together, and then coming to you to almost like navigate it.
Yeah. Because usually, and again, it's not a tool that's used often enough. So when we see it these days, it's often some kind of either power imbalance or money imbalance. So usually one person is asking for it.
Mm-hmm.
The other person is saying, okay, I think I need to protect myself. And it's just the best practice to make sure because one attorney normally doesn't represent both parties in a divorce. You're already on opposite sides of the case. So it's kind of that same thing when you're hashing out what might the terms of a divorce be. So one person needs to write out the agreement and then hand it to the other person to talk about in private with their own attorney. And if they have something that they want to come back with, I don't like this term, or I want to add this or take this away, they need somebody that is fighting solely for them because one person can't really represent opposite sides, so to speak.
It still makes me a little nervous.
Why, you got something to hide?
No, Snooks asked me.
I'm
So
wondering now. We gonna have a conversation though.
No, you're not, because you're well into your marriage and you're good.
okay,
Yes.
there's another question coming on that,
We are
but
well into the marriage.
no, I just feel like it just makes me feel kind of weird, kind of old school. Maybe she's the one that's into like love stories and all of that. I kind of side eye and watch from the corner every now and then.
I'm like,
But
what?
but realistically, no, I'm thinking like it's almost the premise of showing up before wedding day with almost like your quasi divorce lawyers negotiating the departure prior to you even say I do makes me feel some kind of way though.
So my perspective though, and it was kind of one of the I used to have a thing, to be honest, about prenups. Like, oh no, no, you don't need a prenup because if you love me and I love you and blah blah blah, whatever,
So it's like
then it
Barney,
should
the
be
Barney marriage. I love you, you love me.
then we should be okay. But as I got wiser and got older and matured, I do realize that love doesn't conquer everything. What's it's
Yeah.
almost like, I hate to say, but what's love got to do with it when you're talking about marriage in a sense of contractual obligations. So if I'm a stay-at-home mom and you make all the money, the prenup is going to not just protect you, but it's going to protect me too, because
Right.
I'm going to sign something and that's going to be like, okay, well, if we break up, I am going to get X amount, whatever, because I did put my plans on hold or whatever. I took care. I'm the house manager. I took care of this
Right.
business.
You
And
almost got
that's
me
the
thinking.
perfect example, quite honestly. That happens a lot. A lot of men pride themselves on being able to provide fully for the household. They pride themselves on their wife not having to work, or sometimes they'll say, okay, raise the kids because I don't want the kids to go to daycare, or, whatever that situation may be. And that's understandable. But then a woman has put her career on hold. She may need more education 10 years down the line. She may need another certification or just some time to get back into the workforce. And so she's at a disadvantage if she had no protections and she had been a housewife for 10 years and there's nobody to give her a job referral, or
Yeah.
she needs more education because things have changed. We see that quite a bit. So if there's a clause that says, based on how many years you've been married, you're getting X amount, or I will pay spousal support in this amount, that does protect her. And a prenup does not have to be forever. You can pretty much negotiate on whatever you want outside of anything that has to do with the children. So you could say, hey, once we've been married for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, this is null and void. You're in it to win it. We put the time in. Now we just go about divorcing under the regular divorce laws if it comes to that. So it doesn't have to be forever.
Oh, okay.
See,
I never
I
even
didn't
thought
realize
about
that.
that. Yeah, I didn't realize that
And,
either.
and that was, that kind of leads into my other question because I noticed as I was reading up on some people out there, famous people with these prenups, the whole Kate Bissett and JFK Jr. thing came up because I guess it's relatively recent. Somebody's doing a show or whatever. But I saw that there were tiers. Like 1 year, if they were married for 1 year, got divorced, it was $1 million. If it was, I think like 3 to 5 years, she got 2 million, and so on. It was almost like it ratcheted up. And I'll admit, it was like, wow, okay, that's interesting. That it's kind of going up a little bit.
How rich do I want to be? Okay, I'll hang in for 5 years.
Right, exactly that part.
Right. That's funny. Well, that's like oh my God, what Michael Douglas and Catherine Zeta-Jones or something,
I heard that, like a million a year or
or
something.
something like that. Or he had to pay, if he was to cheat, she would get like $7 million or something. And I think Justin Timberlake and whoever he married, I can't
Jessica
remember.
Biel.
Jessica Biel, yeah. They also have, there was a clause in her prenup. That's what I heard. I don't know if it's true, but there was a cheating clause also.
And that's another thing. So, without disclosing or getting yourself in any trouble, what are some of the? Can you share like what some of the
Crazy.
craziest clauses were that you've actually seen or heard about?
Well, definitely the cheating clause is pretty common. I think that's the one that people really take time to detail, and that sometimes highlights to me that something probably has already gone on in the relationship, and people are trying to protect themselves in that way. So I would say that's kind of the classic one. I would say the most detailed one, and again, this is something that I recommend people do. If one person has a business and the other one doesn't, sometimes your business can wind up in your divorce proceedings. So it's wise to hash that out in the prenup as well, because your business partner may not want to end up being a partial owner with your ex-spouse. And that
That's
could
true.
happen if
Yeah.
you don't hash out those kind of succession plans or those those prenup plans. So those are the two that are really big, handling your business and cheating. But I haven't seen anything super off the wall.
So on the prenups, um, like when it comes time, say we got divorced and there was something that was in the prenup, do all of does every clause in the in the prenup, are they typically honored in court, or are there some where there might be like, that's a little bit too much?
Well, you certainly can't violate anyone's fundamental rights. You can't say things like, you must be a certain religion, the kids must be a certain religion, or something of that nature. You can't have anyone committing a crime, or anything crazy like that. I would say that the people that try to challenge the prenup is because something procedurally didn't happen properly. So, like I said before, each person really needs their own attorney. It's great if you can pay for your own attorney, but sometimes the one with more money pays for both. And that's fine as long as the person that's designated to you actually is representing your best interest.
Right.
But you both have your own attorney. You have the opportunity to sit down, be heard, be clear on the terms. A big one that gets the challenge, I guess, makes it successful is if somebody is lying. If someone is hiding assets, that's a huge one. The whole point of a prenup is that everybody came to the table and they were open and honest. What do you have and who do you owe? So that you can say, this is my debt, this is your debt, this is how we'll handle future debt, these are my assets. If you're hiding a boat, if you're hiding a condo in Paris, and then the court finds out about it, that can invalidate your prenup because you weren't honest on the front end. So you have to be open and honest, have representation, and then make sure you're not signing anything under duress. So, like I said, I don't do anything the month before, it's too close. Everything is non refundable. Certainly the week before, when people are starting to fly in, dresses are bought. Of course, people don't want to be embarrassed. I've called off a wedding before. It's embarrassing. So people don't want to do that. So you start getting too close to the wedding, and then you could have a very good duress claim too. So you want to make sure that all of that is wrapped up so that it's less likely that somebody could challenge and win that challenge.
So would it be like, for instance, we're in California. And so what do you always joke about? That it's a what state?
Community property state.
The
Community
fact that
property.
she keeps throwing that out. 30 years. She's still throwing that out.
I got, hey, you might forget one day. You wake up and hit your head. I don't know.
But I mean, I'm just going to say, so people, I'll be honest, we live in a sexist society. So a lot of times when we talk about prenups, unless it's a truly powerful couple where, the wife or the female, the spouse has the career, the prestige or what have you. I think more times than not, when you mention prenup, immediately people think, oh, it's the guy trying to protect his assets. But in a state like California, where it's community property, doesn't it protect both parties to a certain extent if you get a prenup? I mean, because here you split everything in half, but if you get a prenup, how is that better?
Well, I think regardless of what state you're in, because Nevada and Texas are also community property, I like those states. I do like those states. I wish people operated properly in them. I've seen some crazy things, but it protects you because unless you got married when you're in your early 20s and neither one of you had anything, chances are you have something that you want to protect. Either that's you have a blended family, so you want to make sure that your assets are protected so that you're passing things down to your children should there be a divorce, or if you have a business and you want to protect that and protect your business partner, or anything like that. Now, when it comes to things that you inherit during the marriage, that's always going to be separate property. But you can make provisions on things like your 401k or your stocks and bonds or your crypto, your income. you can set terms on what spousal support might be if there is any. If a spouse is promised something like, hey, you raise the kids, you get them all to school age, and then I'm going to pay for you to go to college so that you can increase your career earning, you might want to protect that promise. So you can use it in a lot of different ways. Otherwise, community property is what you acquired together during the marriage. But what gets really tricky is even when you have separate property, like let's say somebody comes in with a rental property and the income from that rental property is yours if you keep it separate. The problem comes in when you have separate property and then you start to commingle it. And now it's so commingled that you can't really separate it. You're putting it into a joint account, or, I took $400,000 out of the 401k and we made improvements on the house. Well, now your money's tied into a house. So it gets a little tricky, but if you have all of that written out in your prenup of how things will be divided, or how, what's separate, what's community, or what you're going to share, that makes it a little easier to navigate.
So I don't know if the question that you're in my head, I was thinking you're asking, does a prenup supersede community property? Is that where you're going with that?
No, that's a smarter
Oh,
question.
yes. Okay. And so I guess I'll put it this way, like community property laws, that is your prenup. So if you don't do anything different, then the government decides how your assets get divided. So
Mm.
yes, if you say, I know that there are community property laws, however, we have made this agreement, as long as those parameters are met, you clear terms, your own attorney, everybody was open and honest, a judge will honor your prenup over what the community property laws are. And it could be, maybe the community property laws were more generous to you than your prenup, but you chose to make this other agreement. Or maybe the agreement is more generous. But yes, the judge will take what you two agreed to over the laws.
So what you're telling me is I missed my window.
A long time ago.
Okay.
No, let me ask you that. So, I mean, we've been married 30 years. We always joke
Oh
around,
no, I know the question that's coming. Oh Lord.
till death do we part. No, but I mean, like, okay, so let's talk about those couples that are like maybe 5 years in, 10 years into their marriage. Is it too late for them to be able to get a prenuptial?
Well, it's called a postnup. I knew the question was
Post up.
coming. It's called a postnup, so it's the same idea, but it's happened when the marriage has already taken place. I don't like it, and I don't do it. Because again, it's a huge red flag that something has probably already taken place in the marriage, and now you're going back and trying to protect yourself. And I think the famous one that I could think of, I think, is Tiger Woods. Like after the golf club thing, they did a postnup
Mm.
and then got divorced 2 years later. Um, I already feel like, well, there's probably an imbalance somewhere and something has already happened. And I just don't like the idea of a postnup. It's valid. You can do it. A judge will honor it. If you're already hanging on divorce, I just either come to me for the divorce or go to someone else for the postnup
Right.
because I don't like them.
That's interesting. So, I mean, I know we're talking about these are all reactionary type things. I mean, well, we're supposed to be preliminary things. Like these are things that we're supposed to be talking about beforehand. And I know we're having this discussion about all these different scenarios. So, you have a book. Well, first off, tell me about Illegal Cafe. That really stands out to me, and I love the play on words. The I see illegal like
Yes.
electronic, but then also illegal cafe. So I'm like, well, talk to us about that.
Well, yes, that is my company name, and everything I do is under that umbrella. But I really enjoy being a family law coach, and I offer that to a lot of people who are going through a divorce and they're doing it on their own. And so I often just help them navigate the terms of the court order that they are presenting to the judge, just to make sure that everything is done properly. And
Mm.
because I have seen some horrible divorces from people who tried to do it themselves, and it just ended up in a disaster. Probably the worst case that I've seen, people tried to do their own divorce. They did their own divorce, but they left out the children. And then the wife ended up running off with the children, and she was mentally ill. So it was a very dangerous situation. So I try to go through and make sure that they have hit all the terms, because people don't think about everything that needs to go in a divorce decree, and it's pretty extensive. So I offer that. I also am building a resource catalog, just again to help people that are trying to navigate the court system on their own, and give them just a little bit of cheerleading in the background. Here's your resource, here's your guidance so that you do it right and save yourself time and money. So that's where Illegal Cafe comes from.
Interesting. It's funny. I know that we probably have some listeners out there that are saying, you guys are supposed to be pro-marriage. Why are you having this long, drawn-out conversation about divorces and so forth? But just because we're pro-marriage doesn't mean we're anti-divorce. Because I think that different people come in different size, shapes, and flavors, and so do relationships. And sometimes it's the best thing that they can possibly do.
Not everybody should be married, and a lot of those people decide not to stay married.
Very true. I know that when we got our first house, we were blessed by a really cool real estate agent. And what she did was, do you remember that? Yeah. She gifted us, because it was our first home, a trust. She set up an opportunity for us to actually have a trust. And so first off, when she did it, I'm like, oh, that's cool. What is that?
She's above and beyond.
Right. But we thought it was the coolest thing ever, but it did open us up to a world of, we had no idea that I've heard of wills, but wasn't familiar with a trust. But now you've got me kind of wondering, like, if somebody's contemplating actually marrying, jumping the broom, whatever you want to call it, have you had people actually gift like your services to do a prenuptial agreement?
Prenuptial agreements and estate plan, yes. Not a trust, but your basic wills, powers of attorneys, guardianship declaration. I have had that people give that as a gift, and I've also offered that in like auctions for people that are running a nonprofit fundraising type deal. So I do offer those.
So
that's a beautiful gift.
Do you? I don't know if it's ever been researched, or if you even have numbers or anything. But do you feel like the transparency of a prenup? Having the couples discuss everything prior to getting married. Do you feel like, or do you think that, or that has actually maybe cut down on some divorces? Because we're getting it out ahead of time. He didn't know when we first got married. He didn't know I had an IRS bill.
Ooh. Yeah, that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, IRS came knocking. I'm like, what is this all about?
What is this? I was like, I made too much money. I didn't have enough write-offs or whatever. But do you feel like, or have you seen that, if there is any research on it, that prenups may be a way of cutting down on divorces because everything is out in the open prior to getting married?
I feel like it's hard to get clear numbers because we're so transient as a society. And we don't even have clear divorce numbers because people get married in one state or one country and then move someplace else. So it's hard to say. I will say that I don't see a lot. I haven't seen personally a lot of divorces with a prenup. Again, I think it's a tool that's not used that often, but I feel like people that do take the step to do it have already had other important conversations that set a stronger foundation. And so I feel like it does lessen the likelihood of divorce. I see a lot of people getting divorced that haven't had huge conversations, and that's why they end up in a divorce attorney's office.
Got you.
Well, I think that's a great segue. I mean, so in that preparation, you've written a book. And if I'm not mistaken, it's called Before Forever.
Right.
Can you tell us about that?
Well, that's exactly where the book comes from. It's all the years of doing divorces. And if it's an uncontested divorce, I have sat down with both parties. Again, either they can afford to hire me and they just want to do it as cleanly as possible, as quickly as possible, or they just want guidance and then they go off and do it themselves. I know every state is different, but in Texas, you can get divorced in 61 days. So I've had the honor of sitting down with couples multiple times and just hearing. One of my questions is, what brought you to my office? What has happened? And I'll often ask a couple, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, where does your marriage fall? The guy is usually a 7 and an 8. The woman's usually a 2 or 3. And I'm like, are you in the same marriage with each other? So we kind of
Right.
worked through what brought them there, what got missed, and just hearing all those conversations. I'm like, if these conversations happen on the front end, then maybe people wouldn't wind up in a divorce attorney's office. So I've actually created what I'm calling premarital counseling in book form. I strongly believe in premarital counseling, but people don't do it often enough. So if they're willing to at least sit down with the book and have the guided conversations with each other, then I feel like that's a help. So that's really what this book is. It's a guided conversations on a wide range of topics, finances being one of the biggest ones, because that's what people miss. So, family life, who is sitting at your marital table? Who do you expect to put in on big decisions? And do you want kids? How many kids? How are we raising them? Do you have debt? Have your wages ever been garnished by the IRS? I go through all these conversations. Mental illness. Have you been to therapy? There's just a laundry list of questions that I go through that I think are really important. And I feel like if you go through those questions, of course, you can't foresee everything that could happen. But if you start out with that strong foundation, then maybe you minimize divorce on the back end. You may discover that you're not right for each other, and that's okay. Divorce is so expensive, and not just monetarily. So if you find that out ahead of time before you have kids in the picture and you've blended families, sometimes you just decide maybe we need to work on this a little more, or maybe we're just not right for each other. So it's eye-opening either way.
That's really good. So where can our audience actually find the book, and how can they actually follow you as well and learn more about what you're doing in the state of Nevada and Texas?
Well, everything I do is on Amazon. So Before Forever is not out yet. I have a tentative date of 6/26/26 because I know a lot of people will be getting married that day. It's a cute date.
I like it.
So it will be on Amazon when it is released. It's in the editing stages right now. Until then, you can get my first book, Woke Up Dead, or my collection of journals called F Words. And then you can find me, Nadia Gilkes, on most platforms, or listen to my podcast, Authors and Espresso, or Lifelong Lattes.
Ooh, okay, real quick, plug on Authors and Espresso. Tell us about that.
Well, when I wrote my book in 2019, of course, the pandemic happened almost immediately after that. And so I wasn't able to market. Nobody really was. And so I decided to have a couple of virtual festivals so that I can highlight not only myself, but other independently published authors who had no way to market themselves during the pandemic. So I put on two festivals, which went really well. And so even though the world is open back up, I really missed that platform and I missed highlighting indie authors. I believe everybody has a story, and I wish that people had the courage to tell theirs. I feel like we learn so much from each other when we share our stories. So it's just a way for me to highlight indie authors, get us reading each other's books, and hopefully I'll probably have another festival in 2027.
That's
Ooh, okay,
awesome.
we might need to stay in touch.
Yeah,
I
that's
hope we
awesome.
do. You
Yeah.
guys are amazing.
I'm already visiting when we go back to Vegas, so she's gonna take me
Right.
to the hot spots.
But let's keep her married. Let's keep her married.
Not those kind of hot spots.
It's going to
Okay,
be
okay.
more like a sports bar because that's where I live.
Right. Oh, we need to go during football season, right?
Oh my gosh,
Right.
yes, I love that.
So let me ask you this. In closing, first off, thank you so much. This has been great. This is
Yeah.
this is long overdue, and I think it's a great topic. Two things. Number one, I'm curious about the age? I know that you said it hasn't been done often enough, but do you find, because I saw that Gen Z and millennials seem to be the ones, according to the media, that have been embracing prenuptials more and more. Do you think that that is truly the case in what you're seeing in the marketplace? And is that just because they're younger and the older folks just aren't, there? They've kind of had their run?
I think that's interesting because I'm seeing the opposite. I'm seeing a lot of people who are settling down and saying marriage is not our goal. So they're not even talking about prenups. I do see people who are, mid 40s and up talking about it because they have a blended family and they want to protect things for their kids and grandkids, or because they do have business ventures or other things that they don't want commingled into a marriage. So I really haven't talked to a lot of young people who are interested in prenups. They're still, a lot of them are still trying to get through college and move out the house, even in their 30s or so. So I haven't seen that, but I would love to see younger people embracing premarital counseling, prenuptial agreements, and really setting up a strong foundation for themselves.
Nice.
So,
Go ahead.
you were done? Okay, so last question. What is something that what conversation or discussions would you want the listeners of the podcast to have tonight, or whatever night they hear this, over maybe some wine, or just, I don't know, sit back and chill, and regardless of if they do a prenup or not?
The biggest conversation is money. Are we going to have joint accounts or separate accounts? Who's going to pay the bills? What bills do we even have? What savings do we have? What is your attitude around savings? Have your wages ever been garnished? Have your tax returns ever been garnished? Are there implications that will affect our future together? Money is the one conversation that does not get discussed, and people just assume that it will go the way they have it in their mind, but they never express that to the other party, and then they're well into the marriage and they realize something's not working. And I always like to tell people to ask about any kind of addictions, because people forget that shopping is an addiction, gambling is an addiction. Something that costs you financially could have major implications in the marriage. So if that personality is presenting itself, then that lets you know maybe a deeper conversation on therapy or 12-step programs are necessary. So definitely, if you don't talk about anything else, please talk about money.
We're going to be talking about her shopping addiction as soon as we get off this call.
Look, you already told her we've been married for almost 30 years. It is what it is now.
There's an opportunity. The market's ready for disruption. I think there should be 30-year prenups.
Yeah, but I'd have to sign it too, right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
there's that. Exactly. Nadia, thank you so much. And last, one more time. So, your website?
I'm revamping it, but NadiaGilkes.com. So look for that revamp by June. And then on Facebook, that's pretty much where I live. You can find me at Official Nadia Gilkes or Authors in Espresso. And I'm on Instagram about once a year, Nadia.Gilkes.
Okay, I love it. Hey, again, thank you so much for taking the time to spend some time with us and our listeners. We wish you nothing but success. And you know what, folks? Listen, if you didn't hear anything else today, I want you to hear the fact that she didn't come out and say, I want everybody to get divorced. No, she said she wanted everybody to have premarital coaching, premarital counseling, to have the discussions, those difficult discussions, have the difficult discussions up front so you don't have to have them on the back end. Or at the very minimum, it mitigates the depth at which you have to do it at a later date. So I'm not going to say my mind has been completely changed, but I'm definitely more open to the concept of prenups, because it does make a lot more sense after talking with Nadia, and I hope it makes sense for you too.
Yeah, prenups equal protection. That's a slogan.
You know,
bars.
You got a T-shirt.
Talking about
Nadia, there's a T-shirt for you right there. Hey, look, like we always say, every single week.
Until the next time.
Be blessed. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey. Please like, subscribe to, and review the show wherever you access it, and tell a friend about us. Visit marriedintocrazy.com and see how Snooks and Lovey can bless your marriage directly.